Bartholomew Town, brought to you in part by the University of Rhode Island Online, Navigant Credit Union, Half Street Group, and Newport Film.
Bartholomew Town.
All right, continuing our conversations with directors for films that are being screened at this year's Newport Film Outdoor Series. I'm Bill Bartholomew, and this is Bartholomew Town. Starman is going to be screened this week at Newport Film. Full details at newportfilm.com. That's where you'll find the entire series as well. I love this. I want to read from Robert Sohn's statement in a second, but I'm going to give you a quick, just the executive summary of what Starman is all about, according to the website. Legendary NASA robotics engineer and best-selling science fiction author Gentry Lee has spent a lifetime seeking an answer to the ultimate cosmic question: are we alone in the universe? At age 82, he has come to a revelatory conclusion. Reading in part from Robert's director statement, he writes, "To me, space inhabits our imagination on a spectrum that runs from the awe-inspiring realities of human and robotic exploration over the last half-century to science fiction projections of interplanetary travel and contact with alien civilizations, and even to the widespread belief that intelligent aliens are already visiting the Earth. It is all part of a story that we tell ourselves about our place in the cosmos and the profound questions we have about whether or not we are alone." All right, this is already teed up to be an awesome conversation, because what an itch to scratch and what a zone to explore. Robert, thanks so much for your time today.
Thanks for having me.
What's the origin of this project for you?
Well, I made about 5 or 6 years ago. I made a series for television called "Chasing the Moon." It was a 6-hour series about the race to land a man on the moon in the 1960s, and so one of the producers of that came to me and said, "Hey, would you want to follow that up with a documentary about the other space program, which is the robotic missions that followed on after Apollo and when exploring the solar system, and then also all the stuff with the telescopes looking out to the very edge of the universe and everything we've discovered in all the years since." And I thought, well, yeah, but that's kind of a difficult thing to do because there's no people involved. There's robots. Like the story of the astronauts, there's a human connection. Films about people. So I was a little skeptical about it. But so I went out to JPL, the Jet Propulsion Labs laboratory in Pasadena, where all of this stuff is happening. And I was introduced to this guy, Gentry Lee, who I had never heard of. And he's like, I've been making documentaries for about 40 years. And when you make documentaries, with podcasts too, you get to meet so many interesting people. And I've met, presidents, engineers, criminals. I met run the gamut. Gentry is the most interesting person I've ever met in my life. And he was able to personalize this story of our exploration of space in a way that I thought immediately, I want to make a movie about this guy, and I want him to be the only subject in the movie. Because he's explored it all. Not only the actual exploration of the solar system, but also in his imagination as a science fiction writer, all the possibilities and permutations about the ultimate question: are we alone? Is there something else out there? So
Yeah.
he was a perfect vehicle to make a movie about.
That's amazing when something just it's such a great vehicle for storytelling and you just dig into it. So what was it? I mean, this is a challenge, as you said, when you're trying to tell stories to humans. The human connection oftentimes is the thing that resonates, but sometimes you can, whether it's by humanizing something or whether it's just by sheer fascination, you're able to get that sort of hook and drive a story. What was the hook here for you, and how did you convert this kind of broad conversation, given it's one person? How did you sort of make this into a universal theme?
Well, the hook is just his personal life story. I mean, he's 82 years old. He is the living embodiment of everything that has our entire exploration of the solar system and all the things we've discovered about our place in the cosmos over the last 50 or 60 years. He's been at the center of it. So he's not somebody who's just studied it and is a good spokesperson for it. He's actually, he's built the robots. He's been at the center of this whole thing. His science fiction work, he collaborated on 3 books with the legendary science fiction author Arthur C. Clarke. He produced Cosmos, with the original Cosmos series with Carl Sagan. I mean, he's like the last living link to the, what we call the heroic age of space exploration, and is you know a direct connection to the 2 greatest space visionaries of the 20th century, which is Arthur Clarke and Carl Sagan. So his personal story is the hook.
We're in a moment right now where space has never been more, well, we assume potentially, maybe. I mean, there's also an argument to be made. Perhaps things have cycled through and humans have been in space before. I mean, some people say that's complete nonsense. Some people have fun with that. Some people actually believe that is the case. But for the sake of our conversation, we'll say it's linear, and we've gone from not exploring space to now essentially commercializing space, the amount of small satellites that are up there right now only to increase, and the amount of technology that robotics are driving with contemporary space exploration is far beyond even maybe what some people would have imagined in a science fiction context, because it's not lasers, it's not interplanetary travel. It's just sort of, hey, the economy, industrialization, weaponization has shifted rapidly into lower Earth orbit and beyond. So in that context, how important is it to connect the dots of, as you say, that sort of golden era period with where we are today, where it's, it's a moneymaker, it's a defense piece, and hopefully it's still fertile ground for scientific exploration.
Well, I think science fiction did predict this. I mean, even like a movie like Alien, that
Mhm.
was a mining expedition to another planet. There's been lots of science fiction about um, human beings exploring the cosmos out of this sort of commercial self-interest, and sort of taking the same models that prevailed during the great age of exploration, conquest of the New World, and all that kind of thing. But then projecting that into the cosmos. So I think science fiction really has been pretty accurate about where we're going. And you're right. I mean, this it's at least in terms of human exploration, this does seem to be the motivating force at the moment. Um, but I think one of the most fascinating aspects of where space exploration is going in the future, you look at what's going on with AI and robotics. Like, again, going back to Arthur C. Clarke, 2001. You look at HAL in 2001. It is astonishing. It's astonishing how well he predicted where artificial intelligence was going to lead. And it's one can easily imagine that we're going to build robotic spacecraft operated by artificial intelligence that can just go off, and we'll probably be traveling around and exploring things long after we're gone.
Absolutely. It is definitely like when you think about AI and how we don't necessarily know what space time realms will be available to explore coming up in the future because of AI. Our brains may not be able to fully process or understand space time and how to bend it, how to really access it. But we might be trending there. Do you think that's the next great realm that we'll encounter? Not so much, hey, we've made it to Saturn or we've made it outside of our solar system, but now we fully understand what we know as the past, present, and future.
Yeah, there's some interesting theoretical studies about that, with wormholes and quantum physics, where 2 things can like exist at the same time across the span of the universe. Um, those are kind of interesting things. I have no idea whether they're real or not, but for the moment, we're kind of stuck with the physics that we know, and the physics that we know put a speed limit, the speed of light. Um, and that is actually really very, very limiting. If you think, the nearest, I think Gentry points out in the movie, he says, using the best current technology that we have for space travel, getting to the nearest star will take 10,000 years, right?
Yeah.
So let's say we can ramp that up a bit. Let's say we do it tenfold faster. Then you're still talking about 1,000 years. So the space time problem is a big one. Um, the idea of going faster than the speed of light, which is really what you're talking about, is beyond any physics any understanding of the physical universe that we know of now. But there may be, the two things, the wormhole thing. I think there's a guy actually at JPL named Kip Thorne who's come up with that, and that theory was put in. You ever see the movie Interstellar?
Sure.
Yeah, so that was, that Kip Thorne was the science advisor on that film. So there are theoretical ways you could get around it.
What about kind of going back to Earth here? What about this for you as a director in this contemporary landscape of filmmaking? Things have shifted dramatically in terms of the streamers are there.
Bartholomew Town.
Are you ready to take the next step in your career? At URI Online, they offer business and leadership-focused programs designed to fit your life. Whether your goal is to advance your career in fields like public administration, supply chain management, or training and development, their online programs provide the flexibility you need with a high-quality education you deserve. Learn more from experienced faculty and collaborate with a network of professionals, all from the comfort of your home or wherever life takes you. Visit uri.edu/online to explore programs and start building your future today. URI Online. Learn anywhere with us. Newport Film is celebrating 15 years of outdoor documentary film screenings. Every Thursday through August 28th, new critically acclaimed documentaries curated from Sundance, South by Southwest, and Tribeca screen at ever-changing, iconic outdoor locations across Newport and Aquidneck Island. A beloved summer tradition. Pack your blanket and lawn chair. Arrive early for free popcorn, live music, and filmmaker conversations. Head to newportfilm.com for all details. As Rhode Island's first ever member-owned credit union, Navigant Credit Union has been a staple in the local business community for more than 108 years. Yeah. Today, Navigant is a $3.4 billion institution serving more than 136,000 members across 25 physical branch locations. But since its founding in 1915, the mission has never changed. Navigant Credit Union's team of financial professionals have remained committed to improving the financial well-being of the families, businesses, and communities they serve across Rhode Island. Learn more at navigantcu.org. Half Street Group brings a new generation's perspective to leadership communications, strategic public relations, and digital marketing. Half Street helps organizations and leaders take control of their own stories and manage their reputations. They get results for their clients by focusing on audience, message, and culture, and by leveraging their decade-long relationship with media and opinion leaders in the Ocean State and throughout New England. Join me and Half Street Group founder and president Mike Rea for a conversation every month about news of the day, the hottest media analysis, and a look behind the scenes at how impactful leaders drive conversations. Learn more at halfstreetgroup.com. Not much different than music, which is an area that I'm familiar with, where, look, people say, wow, anybody can upload anything to Spotify. Well, yeah, so what? That doesn't help the cause of even high quality projects necessarily standing out. It takes funding. It takes, in the case of film, it takes opportunities to screen in front of festivals or art houses or whatever. And it takes also a combination of luck and solid promotion to break through. So it's a weird time in media as a whole as things continue to shift. What's your take on where the film industry is right now, particularly something that is the type of work that you do? And where's it going? Where can we expect to see in the next couple of years?
Well, you're right. I mean, it's never been more challenging. There's so much content chasing, the same amount of eyeballs. And people obviously are on social media, they're playing video games, they're doing all kinds of other things. Besides just watching television or watching movies. So there's just a content overload right now. Um, and you're right, it's hard to break through. Uh, I think, we've been very fortunate. The film is attracting an audience. We're going to be opening in cinemas across the country starting in early February, and then it'll be on streamers in probably in March and April, starting there.
Yeah, and I think one thing also that is more important than ever as well is, yes, it's a bifurcated, trifurcated audience in so many different ways. It's narrow and it's niche oriented. At the same time, there's still a need for common threads where multiple different types of people are consuming the same content. I think that's obviously something that is valuable in general, where you can have conversations and really kind of excite as many people as possible around a particular idea. And one theme that seems like it could be really living in that space is space. And you're kind of uniquely positioned here.
Well, yeah, a good story is universal. You know, you can tell a good story, that'll live forever. It's been that way since cavemen were sitting around a campfire and telling them stories about the hunting trip they just did,
Yeah.
and that continues to this day. So you got to have a good story. Um, and you're right, space is kind of there's something universal. I think everybody around the world has a certain fascination and asks themselves these sort of fundamental questions from time to time, some more than others. So I'm very optimistic that the film is going to find an audience, but not every film can do that. Some films are much more niche. On the other hand, the technology these days is such that you can more easily find, if you have a niche film, you can find that niche audience in ways that wasn't available to us 20 years ago. So there's good and bad about all of this. I mean, I started making films when we were shooting in 16 millimeter, and it was just like ridiculously expensive to do anything. And now you can just go, make a movie on your iPhone. So, but that's also the good and the bad. There's also so everybody can make a film on their iPhone. So there's a gazillion films.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting stuff. And what stands out tends to be, either somebody who has an unbelievable budget for promotion, once in a while, but usually it's, like you said, it's those universal themes, things that people connect with. And if you are interested in connecting with this film and you're in the greater Rhode Island area, Newport Film, it's this Thursday at Rosecliff. I'm saying that out loud without 100% knowing that. That's not a very good thing to do. Yes, Rosecliff will be the venue. There's going to be a live pre-film conversation with Robert and Gentry Lee. That's
right.
Kind of wild. That alone is an opportunity that you don't want to miss. That's going to be pre-film. Live music starts at 6:15, and the sun is setting earlier, so the film will begin earlier than it has. This is always a sad statistic, but the film will begin at 8 o'clock. So get down there to Rosecliff this Thursday. Robert, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Bartholomew Town is a truly independent news organization, accredited by Lion, the leading consortium of independent news providers in the country. And we certainly thank our sponsors, Newport Film, the University of Rhode Island Online, Navigant Credit Union, Half Street Group, and many others who have helped sustain our journalism. And we also thank our listeners who have supported us at patreon.com/BartholomewTown, or you can click the little heart wherever you're listening right now. For as little as $3 per month, you too can help sustain independent journalism in Rhode Island.